What if the Bible had already foretold the events we're seeing today? Wars, disasters, global chaos. What if, hidden within its ancient text, are specific verses that not only predict these events, but reveal exactly how the apocalypse will unfold? In this video, we're going to dive deep into 5 Bible verses that may hold the key to understanding the end times. But here's the thing. These aren't just vague predictions. They are precise, chilling descriptions that could explain what's happening right now in our world. Are we closer to the apocalypse than we think? As we break down these verses, you'll see why so many believe that the final days could be right around the corner. So don't miss a second. What you're about to discover might just change the way you see the world. What if I told you that the conflicts we see on the news, the growing tensions, the wars, the chaos, were all predicted over 2,000 years ago? In Matthew 24:6-7, Jesus warned us, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places." Now pause for a moment. Doesn't that sound hauntingly familiar? War drums echo across the globe, governments clash, alliances break, and behind every headline whispers of new conflicts emerge. Jesus called this rumors of wars. And today, they are everywhere. But it's not just the wars. Famine grips nations. Earthquakes devastate entire cities. And natural disasters seem more frequent, more intense. Are we witnessing the very events that Jesus described, the signs of a world on the brink? What's even more chilling is that Jesus didn't tell us these things to terrify us. No, he told us so we could be prepared. These wars, these natural disasters, aren't random. They're pieces of a divine puzzle, a prophecy unfolding right before our eyes. Yet he said something strange. See to it that you are not alarmed. But how can we not be alarmed? The world is shaking. The foundations of everything we know feel unstable, and that's the key. Jesus warned us that this world would start to fall apart, but these are merely the birth pains, the signs that the end is still to come. So what does this mean for you, for us right now? It means we must be awake. We can't afford to be caught off guard. These warnings are for us to prepare, not just physically, but spiritually. Wars and rumors of wars are a signal, a divine reminder that we're living in a time unlike any other. The question is, are you ready for what comes next? As we witness the chaos of wars and rumors of wars, it's clear that the signs of the end are intensifying. But these global conflicts are just the beginning. When the 6th seal is unleashed, the world will experience even greater upheaval as nature itself joins the battle. Let's explore what happens when the seals of Revelation are broken. In Revelation 6:12-14, we witness the opening of the 6th seal, a moment that unleashes chaos on a scale we can barely comprehend. I watched as he opened the 6th seal. There was a great earthquake. The sun turned black like sackcloth made of goat hair. The whole moon turned blood red, and the stars in the sky fell to earth, as figs drop from a fig tree when shaken by a strong wind. Let that sink in for a moment. Imagine standing on solid ground, and suddenly everything beneath you shifts. The earth itself rebels, violent tremors shaking the planet to its very foundation. But this is no ordinary earthquake. It's the beginning of something far more devastating, an unstoppable chain reaction that will change everything. As you look up, the sky above you isn't blue anymore. The sun, the source of all light and warmth, is gone, blotted out as if suffocated by a dark, oppressive veil. Day has become night. Can you imagine the fear that would grip your heart, standing in the midst of sudden, suffocating darkness? But it doesn't end there. When you gaze at the moon, it's no longer its serene, silver self. Instead, it's turned to blood, deep, red, and ominous. The world's last light becomes a warning of the bloodshed to come. It's a scene that almost seems too surreal to believe, yet it's prophesied, and the symbolism is terrifying. The heavens are screaming out a message. Judgment is coming. And then the stars, those distant, twinkling beacons in the night sky, they begin to fall, one after another, like fiery missiles hurtling toward the earth. John describes them as figs shaken loose by a fierce wind, scattered and crashing down to the earth. It's as though the entire universe itself is coming apart, and there's nowhere to hide. This is the 6th seal, a moment that brings cosmic destruction, and with it, a sense of finality. The world as we know it, upended. The sun, the moon, the stars turned against us. It's a scene of unimaginable chaos, but it's more than just a warning. It's a wake-up call. As you see the signs unfolding around us today, earthquakes, darkness in the world, bloodshed, it begs the question, are we already beginning to see the shadows of this prophecy? Is the world being prepared for this moment, one that's drawing nearer with every passing day? The terrifying events of the sixth seal show us the earth shaking and the heavens trembling. But the Bible also warns that the end times will bring something even more alarming: the moral decay of society. As the world faces catastrophe, 2 Timothy's dire prediction reveals the darker side of humanity's heart in the last days. Let's dive into what Paul foresaw for us in these troubling times. It was all prophesied thousands of years ago. In 2 Timothy 3:1-5, Paul paints a haunting picture of the last days. And when you read it, you might find yourself wondering, is this the world we're living in now? Let's dive into what the Bible warns us about and how it reveals the coming apocalypse. Paul writes, "But mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brute, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power. Have nothing to do with such people." Take a moment and let that sink in. Imagine a world where everything that once held society together, honor, respect, love, is completely turned upside down. Lovers of themselves, selfishness becomes the driving force. Lovers of money, greed rules the day, and materialism is the highest pursuit. Does this sound familiar? It's like Paul was looking into the future, seeing our world unraveling with shocking clarity. And it doesn't stop there. The breakdown of the family unit, disobedience to parents, ungratefulness, unholiness, the very values that once made us strong, are in freefall. People are more brutal, more treacherous, and have no self-control. Sound like the news, social media, our daily lives? It's almost as if Paul could see our society tearing apart piece by piece. But here's the kicker: lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. We live in a world obsessed with instant gratification, with self-indulgence at every corner. And as people chase after their own desires, they forget the very thing that could save them: God. It's a dangerous game. What's truly eerie about this passage is how accurate it is to what we're seeing unfold right now. Think about it. Doesn't this list seem like it was written about the state of the world today? Our culture celebrates self-centeredness, indulgence, and disrespect for authority. We are flooded with a constant stream of entertainment, distractions, and temptations, leaving God and righteousness in the dust. This prophecy isn't just a warning of things that might happen, it's already happening. We're seeing the gradual erosion of morals, and it's creeping into every corner of our lives, from politics to entertainment, from relationships to religion. But here's where it gets even more intense. Paul tells us to have nothing to do with such people. In the face of all this moral decay, Christians are called to stand apart, not just to watch from the sidelines, but to actively separate ourselves from the destructive behaviors that will define the last days. It's a wake-up call, urging us to live counter to the world's values. Are we going to let this culture sweep us away, or are we going to stand firm, living a life that honors God even when the world around us is crumbling? These verses force us to ask the hard questions. Am I living for the things that matter, or am I getting caught up in the pleasures and distractions that the world has to offer? The signs are all around us. The end times are not some distant future. They're unfolding right now, but it's not too late. We can still prepare. We can still live with purpose. We can still turn our hearts back to God before it's too late. As 2 Timothy warns of the moral decay in the last days, it's not just the world's behavior that will signal the end. The book of Daniel gives us a darker prophecy, revealing a vision of kingdoms rising and falling, leading to the ultimate confrontation of good and evil. Let's now uncover the chilling prophecy Daniel shared about the final days. In Daniel 12, parts 1-2, we're told, "At that time, Michael, the great prince who protects your people, will arise. There will be a time of distress such as has not happened from the beginning of nations until then." This isn't just a storm of earthly events, it's the beginning of something far greater. Michael, the archangel, the protector of God's people, will rise to confront this overwhelming darkness. His rise marks the start of an era unlike anything we've seen or could even imagine. The earth will tremble as wars rage and natural disasters tear the world apart. A time of turmoil, so intense that it will redefine the very fabric of human history. But here's the twist. In the midst of this apocalypse, a promise emerges. But at that time, your people, everyone whose name is found written in the book, will be delivered. This isn't just a hope. It's a guarantee for those whose hearts are devoted to God. In the midst of a crumbling world, those who belong to Him will be saved, protected, and shielded from the destruction that threatens all of creation. It's not just survival, it's divine intervention. Then, in Daniel 12:2, we are confronted with a staggering reality. Multitudes who sleep in the dust of the earth will awake, some to everlasting life, others to shame and everlasting contempt. This is the resurrection, an awakening that will split the world in two. Those who have followed God, who have remained faithful to the end, will be raised to everlasting life. But the others, they will awaken to eternal shame, separated forever from the presence of God. It's the ultimate dividing line. Those who embraced righteousness and those who rejected it. This moment is fast approaching, and Daniel 12:1-2 is a warning and a wake-up call. It's not just a glimpse into the future. It's a challenge to each of us to make sure our names are written in the book of life. It's a question we must all answer now. Will we be among those delivered? Or will we face the eternal consequences of our choices? The apocalypse is coming, but so is God's divine justice and His promise to protect those who are faithful. As the world grows darker, the light of God's protection will shine brighter for His people. Before we move on to the next verse, I'll appreciate that you like and share this video. Thank you for your support, and let's continue with the video. Imagine a world where every single transaction, every purchase, and every interaction you have is controlled by one thing, a mark. Revelation 13:16-17 warns us of a chilling reality. It also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of its name. This isn't just a random prophecy, it's a vision of the future that could be closer than we think. The mark of the beast, as described here, isn't just about a symbol on your body. It's about control. It's about a global system that decides whether you live or die based on your allegiance. Think about it. The ability to buy food, provide for your family, or even exist in society, stripped away unless you bow down to the Antichrist. The striking part? It's not some invisible symbol. This mark will be placed right where everyone can see it. On the forehead, symbolizing your thoughts and beliefs, and on the hand, representing your actions. Every part of your being will be aligned with this dark force. It's not just a physical mark. It's a mark that will control your mind, your actions, and your future. Now imagine living in a world where you have no choice but to choose sides. God or the Antichrist. This is what Revelation is warning us about. A world where every person must make a decision to follow God's ways or to be consumed by the powers of evil. But here's the most terrifying part. This choice isn't a distant future. It's already happening. We're seeing the rise of technologies that could make this prophecy a reality. From digital IDs and biometric scans to global surveillance and cashless societies, the infrastructure for this mark is already in place. It may not be today, but the path is being paved for a time when this mark will be the only thing standing between you and your survival. But what does it mean to truly prepare? How do we ready ourselves for a time when this choice will be upon us? It starts by fortifying our hearts and minds in God's word, by holding firm to our faith and never compromising no matter the cost. The world is heading toward a reckoning, and now is the time to make sure that we are standing on the right side of history. The Bible doesn't just predict this moment, it warns us, and it's not just about surviving a mark, it's about surviving spiritually. If we choose God, we are promised His protection, His provision, and eternal life. But if we choose the beast, the consequences are far more terrifying than any earthly hardship. The question is, when that day comes, will you be prepared to stand strong in your faith, or will you give in to the pressure of a world that demands your soul in exchange for survival? The clock is ticking. The signs are all around us. The question isn't if this will happen. It's when. And when it does, you'll want to be ready, because the choice you make will determine your eternal destiny. If you enjoy this video, you will likely be interested in the next one. Just click right here.